Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I promised I would do a flick through of my mission inspiration journal for 2024. Now that it's complete. Yeah, this is a big beast. It's the spine on this measures just so 11 centimeters, so it's actually about 4.5 inches across. That's how thick. Size wise, just over 8 inches. Yeah, and I had to do it this big to accommodate all 52 pages for all 52 weeks of 2024. So let's open it up and have a look at the first signature. So the first week for the mission inspiration was Dawn. Yeah, Dawn. So that's the prompt card there. So embrace new beginnings and the promise of light like the sun rising. You're entering a phase of renewal and clarity. Release the shadows of the past. Welcome the dawn of opportunities. Your paths illuminated with hope, inviting you to awaken to the beauty of a fresh start. So for that one, I did obviously the sun rising. That's painted with a circle punch. I think I cut out using my circle scissors and then stenciled or used it as a stencil on the background. And then I've got some nice little Chinesey writing because it has that kind of Chinese coloury feel to it, doesn't it? And it's always darkest before the dawn. Little quote there. So that was week 1. Week 2 was Flight. So this is an image from the can't remember the name of it, the Steampunk source book. Also, it was done as a stamp, steampunk-esque, I think, from Indigo Blue. And in the background was some inks, watercolour inks, and I did some ghosting effects on it, different coloured blues. So you've got light blues and dark blues, and I did ghosting with that with water to get that mottled effect. Splattered it, let it sit there, and then lifted it off with a tissue, and then also splattered white paint in the background as well. And then I did the quote, once you've tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. Fabulous stuff. I'm not going to read every single prompt because it would take too long. And there's 52 of these, and if I spend a minute on each one, that's going to be nearly an hour. So I'm just hoping I can remember what I did for each week. So that was week number 2. So week number 3, the prompt was repeat. I don't need to say much about that, do I? So I've cut out 3 heart-shaped pieces of dictionary page. I've added red ink to those. I don't know whether that was distress ink or whether it was red paint. And then I've obviously repeated patterns, the crosses and the hearts through that was a stencil. That's from the Grungy Bits stencil. The background is a piece of old map. Now then, if you're familiar with H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds, the place where the first cylinder lands in a place called Horsell Common. This is the actual map of Horsell Common. A map of Horsell Common. Near Woking. Or in Woking, I think. So that's the actual map, a piece of that map that shows Horsell Common. Not that it's got anything to do with the actual art journal page, it's just that I've got that map. I used it for something else a few years ago. So I've repeated the pattern of the hearts from the Grungy Bits stencil, and I use a white paint pen to do the crosses and then to draw the lines on around the hearts and stuff. So, and then I've handwritten the love, laugh, and then repeat on there. Lovely stuff, that one. So that was repeat. So the next one, week 4, was chaos. There we go, chaos. So literally the background was just done random with just different colours. So greens and oranges, which I think sometimes they do work really, really well. I mean, it's almost a red, isn't it? So complementary colour, opposites on the colour wheel. And then the quote for that is embrace the uncertainty and relinquish control. Excellent stuff, I love that. And of course you've got black splodges as well, and then mark making with the lid of a paint pot. So that was week 4. Week 5, what was week 5? Linear. Okay, so we did things in lines. So I've got what looks like a ruler, which I think is a stamp, if I seem to remember right. And then we've got lines from a stencil. Again, I think that was from the Grungy Bit stencil. It could even be from the Bamboozle. I don't really know. And then we've got the interference stencil. So those little cross patterns in black in the background are interference. It's called interference, the stencil, which is, again, all my stencils are still on the website. And then we've got some stamping just here with some numbers. And then obviously a picture of the skull, which was a stamp, an indigo blue stamp that I'd stamped onto craft paper with black ink, and then I cut into linear strips and just separated it. And the quote for that one is just simple, "The end." So the next one, now I think this one, without even looking, is minimalism. Yes, it was minimalism for week number 6. So not a lot going on this page. So minimal colour. So we've got similar colour shades with the colours in the background. So greys and light, well, bluey greens, if you like, light teals, almost Tiffany colours. Just a sticker from a pack. And then the quote, "Listen to many, speak to few." Minimum engagement. And then the background is just like an old ledger paper. And again, we've got another one of those Chinese-y quotes there. These quotes don't actually mean anything. I did one of those translation things with the app, and there's something like from the catalogue. It's like from the I think it's the pottery catalogue, that one. It says something from a pottery catalogue. Something ridiculous like that. So that was minimalism. And then week 7 was fractured. There we go. So a heart cut out of corrugated cardboard, revealing the inner structure. And then we've got a grungy background, again with some stenciling in that background using orange and brown paints. And then we've got that kind of broken, torn border effect all the way around. And the quote reads, "In shadows deep where pain did fiercely reel, a broken heart now learns again to feel. In whispered prayers, the brokenness will yield. A heart restored, its scars a testament concealed." There we go. A lovely little piece of poetry. So that was week 7. Week 8, security. So again, corrugated cardboard on top of another piece of abstract paper. I think this was from the Page Breakers, I think. Or I may be wrong. No, it's from the Night Sky Digi-Download set. Layered with strips of book text from a dictionary, and then some washi tapes, and then there's an image of a padlock which is wrapped around. And then I think I've gone over the whole thing with some kind of glaze to give it a little bit of a shine, which I don't normally do, but that's got a bit of a shine to it. And then obviously the quote is, "Security is the foundation upon which dreams are built and fears are dissolved." Excellent stuff. Love that. So there, we're going into February on this one. So that was security. Week 9 is horizons. And I decided to do a complete collage landscape, just cut from various different pieces of paper. No quote, no nothing, because literally you can see exactly what it is. So there is this city on the horizon with the sun going down in the background. You've got clouds and sky there, and then you've got these lovely kind of rolling hills and that kind of stuff. And I think that's Mick Jagger. It probably is Mick Jagger over in the corner there. So yeah, so that was horizons, and then I did a little tree just in that foreground there. So again, this was first week in March, I think, this one. So that was week 9 for horizons. Fancied a bit of collage. So this one, again, without looking, was connections. So for this one, again, I did an abstracted background, just randomly painted different colours of paint to create the background. And then using, I think, my Swiss cheese stencil, I went through with some gold paint. You can see you've got the shimmer. And then using the stencil as a template, I went around and drew circles around each one. and then I drew connections between each of the circles so that every circle was connected to all the other circles around it. And I did miss a few, but I did go back and actually redo them again and make sure that every single circle was connected to every other circle around it. It did take a while, but again, it didn't really need a quote for that one because it just is what it is. Everybody's connected. It's almost like that 6 degrees of separation, or is it 5 degrees of separation? Yeah, so connection for that one. So that was for week 10. So week 11, again, going towards the back end of March, the quote for that one was noise. So again, noise, I decided to go with the exact opposite, do a real minimalistic page. Again, did that masked off circle with distress inks and that ghosting effect, and you can see the little mottling in the background on the page there. So again, that was lifted off with water and a piece of kitchen towel. So, and the quote for that one is, the loudest noise in the world is silence. And I used a beautiful kind of dandelion clock stamp. I think, again, that's from Indigo Blue. So love that, very minimal. I think I've used that similar sort of design on thank you cards in the past, because they can be used for anything. Right, so that was week 12. Oh, week 12. So where's week 11? Have I missed a week? Oh, how interesting. Unless I've put these in the wrong way. Well, that's really, really interesting. Oh, it's there, look. Week 11, so it's actually in the wrong place. So let's just pull that out, which means that flight is that in the right place? I wonder if I did that in... Oh, this is the thing with Traveller's Notebooks, you can put them all. So does that mean number 2 is in the wrong place now? It is. Number 2's in the wrong place. I must have done that, not realising that I'd done it on the back of the wrong one. Anyway, so I did do 11. So that means that was 13. So 11 was colour. So paint your whole world with a rainbow. There you go. So I did a cubist kind of effect face. I've just coloured each of those squares in with different paints. Are they painted or are they coloured in? I think they're done with Copic markers. They are done with Copic markers. Yeah, I can't see any paint marks or any brush strokes. So there we go. So there's week 11. Week 12, which we've just done, which was noise. So that means week 13. Haha, cyclical. So round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, or an ever spinning reel. So from the song, I can't remember the name of the song now, but done by a few famous people. I used a spiral background from a Halloween piece that I'd done a couple of years ago. And I used the dark black and the cream one, picture of a rabbit or hare staring at the moon. And then it's just finished off with an MDF kind of circle frame. That was also just done with distress ink over the top. So that was for cyclical. So the next one was chosen by my friend Karen when she came to visit. So we're going into April now. So for week 14, it was flow. So I used my Not Today stamp that I released through Indigo Blue. And then we've got the dot gain stencil in the background there. Again, so these are with the vivid inks from Indigo Blue, just in the background, giving that really nice kind of like flowing watercolor effect. And then we've got that flowing line running through the center of the page diagonally, and then just the handwritten text go with the flow. So that was chosen by my friend Karen that week. So that was week 14. So week 15, yes, there's a vaguely Orwellian 1984 effect to this one, isn't there? And it's seeing the big eye. So the quote for that, or the prompt for that week was, peer beyond the surface, embrace the depths of perception, like a lens adjusting to light, unveil hidden truths and wisdom. Navigate with clarity, for in the art of seeing, discover the beauty in every detail. Embrace the journey of insight where vision illuminates the path to understanding and growth. So I did a kind of Orwellian 1984 repeating kind of stylistic collage on that one. Enjoyed doing that one. That was fun. These are just bits of building. It's like the corner of a building that's just been repeated and flipped. And then obviously we've got circles punched out of a dictionary page, and that one actually just says sight. So the definition of the word sight on that one. Love it. So this next one is an interactive page. So it's one of those Rorschach kind of paintings where you splatter things on and then you rub it to get the repeated pattern, and then it's what you see inside of it. So that one is reflect. Obviously it reflects, and then the quote underneath is discover the depths of your being. So yeah, Rorschach used for psychiatric evaluations and that kind of stuff in the past. I don't know whether they still use them now, but discover the depths of your being. So that's reflect. Reflect on what's happened or what will be or whatever, anything. So that was week 16, so that's the end of April. Then we went into May. Oh no, not back end of April here, we've got another week yet. So this one was week 17, and kindness was the prompt for that one. So that was the prompt card there. And I've used one of my Digistamp. So this is the Daisy Whimsy Digistamp, which is still available on my website. Shameless plug, I know. I know I'm talking fast, but I have to, because I have to get through all 52 of these in as quick a time as possible. I don't want the video to be too long. So that's the Daisy Whimsy that I printed onto a paper, a green backing paper, and then a cream paper, and then I cut them out and then layered them. Even the daisy is layered. I can feel that's actually 3D, so that's been layered and paper pieced. I think that's the phrase. Stamped and paper pieced. And then the background is from the Chic Fleur paper pad that I released. Again, we've got some stenciling from the grungy bits, which is what the hearts are, and they're also like little harlequin patterns in the background too, but it's also got a colour wash of white gesso underneath just to knock that pattern back a bit, and black splatters. Just black splatters, because why not? And that was week 17 for kindness. So week 18, so this was the end of the first signature. Week 18 is nature. So for that, again, I've got a page from one of the page breakers. I've got one of my film strip frames from the Carte Noire, one of the birds from the Carte Noire bird shapes, and then there's also one of the Baroque flourishes in the background that I've painted green and added some mottling to, and then there's the fern leaf shapes, the craft card ephemera leaf shapes. Bit of a dictionary page that's got the word nature on it, and also the quote, nature is not a place to visit, it's home. So that was week 18. So that was the first signature. Yeah, I know. That's when I realised that the journal that I'd originally created for Mission Inspiration wasn't going to be big enough. All right, so that week 19 then was communicate. So I used one of the ethereal peeps kind of shapes to create a mask. First I did just a random painted background, and then went over it with distress ink, and then used again the grungy bits stencil to give those little bits of detail in the background with black splatters. And then the quote, speak clearly if you speak at all, carve every word before you let it fall. So basically that means, you know, consider and think about what you're going to say before you let it drop. And that was communicate. So that was week 19. So week 20 was time. Yeah, time. So I went back to 1974, I think it was, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I found a picture of a clock, a balloon style clock, and obviously Richard O'Brien as Riff Raff. And for some reason, I don't know why I put a bird up there. Why not? Again, you've got a background which has got some stamping. I've got the texture stamps my solo texture stamps that I released through Indigo Blue in the background there on an orangey kind of background. I think it's craft card that I've painted orange, and then did a mottled effect on there again with the splatters and the ghosting effect. And I cut out Richard as Riff Raff and stuck him down, and then used the quote from The Time Warp. It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. So that was week 20. Week 21 was Dreaming. So I use my Gothic Windows Carte Noir art shapes and also the... I can't remember what it's called now. It's the one that's got like the pages like torn out from the top of a book. There's a set of art shapes that you can purchase that are in the Carte Noir cardstock with all those different kind of edges on there. And I've just used a Tim Holtz paper doll and then one of the chip words, which is Dreamer of Dreams, obviously. And I've gone over it with a matte medium to get rid of any kind of gloss or shine as much as I possibly could. And again, I've used the background paper is from the Chic Fleur paper pad, again, which is still available. The Gothic Windows are still available, and these little torn notebook edges are also still available on my website as well. I know it's a shameless plug, but we're coming up to the end of the year. I could do with the money. So there's that. That's week 21. Week 22 was Metamorphosis. So again, I used a stamp. This is the Soft Wings stamp that I released through Indigo Blue. Again, this stamp is still available on my website. And also the Dots and Circles papers. I think Dots and Circles in the background. My art papers, and then the texture stamps. So that's the circles. There's the distressed text one as well, the stamps, and then Don't Look Back, You're Not Going That Way. So that was also from the journaling quotes stamp set as well. So all my own stuff. Fabulous. So that was 22. So number 23, this is taken from the Retro Collage paper pad. So the background, the character, and all the punched pieces are just done using a piece of sympathetic coloured cardstock to what the colours were in the actual pages itself. So the quote for that was harmony. So harmonious colours in the page, and also harmonious kind of thematic circles in the page too. And then the quote is, in harmony we find strength, unity, and a path to peace. Fabulous. So that was week 23. Week 24 was imperfection. So I kind of went with a bit of a random collage that had some structure to it, but it had nothing in it which really made any sense. So you had chicken wire in 3 places. You had that Tim Holtz ephemera piece from, I think it was the Botanical set, and then you've got a bus ticket, you've got some stickers from my Victorian antiquarian sticker book, and then this part here is from the Retro Collage paper pad. There's stamping again in the background using my solo texture stamps. Down here at the bottom there's those circles again. Yeah, and then the quote, embracing perfection, it's where true beauty and growth reside. I like that. Enjoyed doing that one, I think. That was 24, so page 25. Limits. So I used one of the bird art shapes as a template, drew around it, and then painted around it without going inside it. So I used it as kind of like a negative space thing, and then just kind of did wiggly lines around it. The journal, the actual dictionary page which it's on, is also the word limit in the middle. So the word limit is there. And then I used green, different colours, so dark greens and then lighter green, kind of like in the middle. And then we've done ghosting again. I think this was used with the Vivid inks. It kind of feels like the Vivid inks. So, and I've probably created 2 different colours, adding yellow to green and then the dark green as well. Did the ghosting, as I said, and then also did some black splatters with black gesso, and then just framed the page itself just with a wibbly kind of black penned line. And then the quote for that one is, limits exist only to be challenged. So that's like push every envelope. So that was limits. So the next one, week 26, halfway through the year now, was story. So everyone has their own story to tell. So again, I've used a sheet from the back, from the paper pad, which is the dots and circles paper pad. I've also used those stamps again to give texture. So that's the French text, worn text. There's the grunge grid there, and then you've got those circles stamped in white gesso. So I've stamped with paint in the back of that one. And then also I've used a stamp, I think that's an indigo blue stamp. It's one of their collector's edition ones. I can't remember what it's called though. Not off the top of my head. So I've done it there, but I also masked off half of it and then masked off the other half down there. So you've got that repeating pattern. And then this lady is from the Retro Collage paper pad, which I think is lovely. And that circle there as well is also punched out and stuck down. So that's layered. So, and of course the quote, everyone has their own story to tell, and which I also then turned into a large stamp as well later on. So that was week 26. So week 27 was sleep. So I've done some nice kind of dreamy colours in the background, just stripes of colour using purples and blues. And then I've ghosted again. And then I've used the roundel stencil to add gesso, like bubbles going all the way through the centre to coordinate with those ghosted splatters. Did black splatters. And then the quote for this page I used was from an old Smiths song from the 80s. Sing me to sleep, and then leave me alone. Don't try to wake me in the morning, because I will be gone. So kind of a sad song. It is a little bit about suicide, sorry. But, you know, if that affects you. But, yeah. Page 27. So that was week 27. So that was sleep. 28, numbers, without even looking. So I used my Rusty Numbers paper pad, which is, again, still available on the website. I did a grungy, rusty kind of background, just using paint effects, and then the large numbers, or big numbers, stencil that I used with some like verdigris coloured paint to give that kind of rusty effect, rusty coppery verdigris kind of effect. And the quote simply is doing it by the numbers. I also included some numbered washi tape in there as well. So that was week 28. Week 29, I think, was freedom. Yes, it was freedom. So that was embrace the boundless expanse of choice and possibility like a bird soaring through the sky. Let your spirit navigate without constraints. Cherish the liberation found in authenticity and self-expression. Hey, celebrate the power of freedom, where each moment offers a chance to create, explore, and live your truth with unwavering confidence and joy. So that was freedom. So what I did for that one, I used a couple of stamps on this one. So there's the brick wall solo stamp to create that brick wall effect. I created a window in the middle just by using a piece of ripped paper to add the colour, and then so that the stamping didn't go over the top of it. I then used the grunge grid, or is it the grunge stripes stamp, to create the effect of prison bars. And then I cut out a bird from my digi collection. I printed it and cut it out, so it looks as though the bird's escaped from prison. So, and just added the quote, live free or die. And again, I've just gone around the outside of the page with that kind of barbed wire-y kind of border on there. Again, a fairly simple one, but it was quite, a lot of these were so much fun to do. Just coming up with the actual concept for the pages is half the fun for me. So anyway, so week 30, we have illuminate. And of course, the best way to illuminate, or the best image for an illumination, is either some form of light. So I went with a nice, bright, shiny lighthouse. Look at that. So I found a lighthouse image. I painted a seascape and then the night sky, and then splattered for stars, and then created this beam of light coming from the lighthouse with gold paint. Lovely bling. Haha. So, and the quote is, light the way and we will follow through the darkest night and into tomorrow. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. So that was week 30. So week 40, without looking, was week 40. Week 31, without looking, was mystery. So I created a grungy kind of background using purples and oranges, which is not something I normally do, with some dark blues in there, stenciled also with white highlights from different stencils. I think that was from the Grunge Grid stencil mask. There's some abstract textures stamping in there from my abstract textures stamp set. There's another texture stamp there. There's circles from one of my, I think that's from either the Randall stencil, these circles here, or it's from the Dot Gain stencil. I think it's from the Randall one. And of course, this chappy here, it was just one from my stash that I have lots of my own kind of like paper dolls that I created from more vintage photos. So that one, the heart of adventure lies in mystery. Again, background, a bit of a mystery to me. So there we go. So that was mystery for week 31. Week 32, we have cosmic. So I created my own kind of cosmic galaxy background, spacey kind of thing, with lots of circles, lots of like circle motifs. There's even some gold of that abstract stamp, abstract texture stamp in the background there. Also down here and down there, so 3 places, different size circles, different stamping, different mark making, splashes, and the papers I used was from the Page Breakers 2. All the background papers are from the Page Breakers 2. So you can get loads of great effects. It looks like you've spent hours and hours on a background when actually you haven't really. And again, I've done a border going all around, but I've created one with like a circle motif going all the way through it. So, and that is the stars whisper cosmic secrets to those who listen. Okay, so we're at 32 minutes at the moment. So what I'll just do is I'm just going to stop the camera because I think it'll just need to cool down a bit, and I want to check the charge because I don't want it to go out. So I'll be right back. And look at that, just at the right time, my phone rings. Perfect timing. That was mother. Right, so we're at point 30, week 33. So growth. So I did just a basic flower, a basic plant growing. Again, I just did a abstracty background just by mixing different colours. I think by the looks of it, I did gesso the page first because I can see brush strokes and that kind of stuff in there. Oh, I think actually I used Pip pens. Yeah, so I will have gessoed the page first with clear gesso, and then I've used the Faber-Castell big brush Pip pens to blend all the colours together. And you can just see down here where I've blended with my finger. They're India ink, which means that you can move them while they're still wet. And that's how I've created that kind of a lovely kind of blended effect. And then the quote, change is inevitable, growth is optional. So that was the prompt for that one was, like I said, growth for week 33. So for week 34, it was wild, totally wild. So of course I had to use some imagery from Where the Wild Things Are. So, and I've got just a piece of like plant leaf background, couple of coordinating background pieces. So I've got some nice natural hessian there, which was taken from a Dina Wakeley multi-surface journal because I'd never used the burlap pages in those journals, and just some ledger paper. And then the leaves are from the fern leaf ephemera, the craft ephemera that I've painted green. So you've got that kind of wild foliage going on there, and obviously there's a wild thing that exists in all of us is the quote for week 34. So, and I didn't write week 34 on there, doesn't say 34 on there. So week 35, balance. So again, I've used a sheet from the Dotson set, no, it's Page Breakers 2, the Page Breakers 2 paper, and I've also highlighted some of the circles, and I've punched out some circles from different pages, stuck them down in complementary colours, and then I've got an image of a lady balancing on one foot, on her tippy toes, and I've cut that out and stuck it down. And then the quote for that one, life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Love that. So that was week 35. Week 36, healing, I think it was. It is. Healing begins where the wound was made. So I've used one of my ethereal peeps, carte noir art shapes. I've just stuck a heart on the top of there just to show where the wound was made, so like a broken heart. And then we've got flowing lines leading from the main kind of ethereal character figure to show that healing is happening. And then I've just splattered some gold on there just to show that it's gives you the impression that things are working. You know what I mean? It's like precious. Healing is precious. So healing begins where the wound was made. And again, in the background, I've used a sheet from the Page Breakers 2, just for that kind of mottled background. I could have painted, but again, those Page Breakers are perfect for creating backgrounds when you don't have a lot of time and you want to art journal. So that was week 36. So that was a third of the way, sorry, 2/3 of the way through the year. And now we're on to the last third. So week 37 was song. So I decided to do a complete collage page, layer in book text, music papers, labels, washi tapes, bits of ephemera from Tim Holtz. This was a stamp called The Crown. So it's a rubber stamp that I've stamped and then used black embossing powder, and then I've coloured in with inks. And then in the background, we've got some of those texture stamps again, my solo texture stamps again, which are available still on the website. And then a quote from another song. Sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song. I'm sure you recognise the song too. So is it the Carpenters? Excuse me. Is it the Carpenters? I'm sure you'll tell me if it isn't. So that was week 37. Week 38 was opposites. Obviously, I've got fishes swimming one direction and then one going in the opposite direction, so going against the flow. In the background, it's watercolour cardstock. I've used inks over the top, water-based inks, and I've done some ghosting, and then I've got the bubble wrap stencil, bubble wrap stamp from my stamp releases through Indigo Blue. So that's the bubble wrap one, just to give you that impression of bubbles. And then, if not now, then when? So when are you going to go against the flow? When are you going to break the mold? When are you going to go your own way? If not now, then when? So that was week 38. Week 39, fragility. So I've chosen to create a background using all of my texture stamps, create that kind of chaos in the background of all the different textures, using the same colour, but just stamping over and over again, using different textures and that. And I think it creates a really nice background for that. And then I've stacked numbers, but instead of stacking them solidly, I've stacked them at angles to show that they possibly may fall at any moment, showing the fragility of anything really. And then we've got a heart, which has also got faux stitching, and then a staple cross right through the heart to show that you know, that if it's fragile, it can be broken, it can be fixed. And then the quote for that one is, strength and fragility coexist in every human heart. Like that. Enjoyed doing all that stamping in the background. I think I stamped onto a dictionary page by the looks of it. Yeah, I think I did, and added white gesso over the top just to kind of knock that into the background. So that was week 39. So week 40, restless. So to show restlessness, I've gone around doing some really sort of broken and like chaotic thought, if you like, in the background. So just scribbles of uneven circles and irregular circles. And I used Posca pens for this, just different coloured Posca pens. And we've just got two sheets, or one sheet of a dictionary page, which I've split down the middle, and then I've offset just to show that it's not you know, it is uneven and broken up. And then it's from the page Rest. So my soul is restless in the pursuit of peace. So there you go. And then we've done black splodges, and again, just to show a little bit of chaos in that background. So that was week 40. Now, week 41, masks. So I've used a page from the All Hallows paper pad. This must have been October time now. And then I've also used a character from an upcoming paper pad, which is called Small Faces. And I've done two. And then I've layered these two and then put a pivot point down here as a type in. Because he moves. Nice interactive art journal page. And the quote is, "We all hide behind one mask or another." And I think I did that. It was around about Halloween time, I think, October time. And again, I really enjoyed doing that one. So that was masks. And then moving on to week 42, which was echoes. So for this one, I've echoed the colours in the background image, which was taken from the Retro Collage paper pad. It's kind of like a landscape there. You've got mountains and stuff in the backgrounds. There's stamping and punched circles that echo the colours. That one there isn't punched, that's actually part of the image. Whereas this one up here is punched and stuck down. So I've echoed and repeated those colours that appear in the art journal page. And then the little frame there with a few little collage clusters, and then the quote underneath says, "Echoes of the past shape the whispers of tomorrow." So that's echoes. All right, so the next one was trust. So for that, I've created obviously God's creation of Adam. So you've got the two hands pointing and touching fingers. The paper in the background is from the Gothic Revival paper pad, which I thought was kind of appropriate for this. And then the quote is, "Trust that everything happens for a reason." Handwritten. I decided to do a handwritten quote for this one for some reason, and I've stamped onto the hands just via using a text. It's the broken text, or the grungy text solo texture stamp, again, which is available on my website now at the moment. And then I've used some stenciled crosses. Now this is from a stencil that I haven't released yet. It's going to be released in 2025, so you'll have to wait for that one. Haha. Sorry. Yeah, so that was trust. Next one, week 44, was heart. So again, I've done a cubist kind of style design where I've drawn a heart and then I've broken it up into pieces and then I've coloured it in using Posca pens. I know it's Posca pens this time because I can see where I've gone. And then just to kind of create that shadow effect in the background, I've gone over with, looks like a charcoal pencil. And just created those shadows. And then the quote for that one is, "The heart remembers what the mind forgets." So again, this was kind of brought on by Mum's dementia, I think. Even though she may forget who I am, she'll not forget how she feels when I'm around, if you know what I mean. She hasn't forgotten who I am just yet, but, you know, it does happen sometimes. I'm not looking forward to it when it will happen, but there you go. So that was week 44. So week 45 was radiance. So I've included myself in this art journal page one for this one. And I've used the Radiate stencil, which is available on my website. And I've used gold and silver paints. Is either gold or silver paints or gold or silver inks. I do have gold ink. And I do have a silver ink, so it could be that I used gold or silver. I can't remember, to be honest. I'd have to watch the video again. But I think it was paint that I just applied through using a inking sponge, one of those ink sponges. I don't often use photos of myself in art journal pages, but there's nothing wrong with using photos of yourself. It's your art journal, so you can use pictures of yourself if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not vain, it's not conceited, it's your art journal, so why shouldn't there be photos of you in there? or your loved ones. So just go for it. So the quote for that one is, wear your radiance like a crown. There we go. That was week 45. So week 46 is emptiness. Embrace the quilt. Embrace the quiet void where possibilities are born and the mind finds stillness. Like a blank canvas, emptiness offers space for renewal and creation, and so on and so forth. So this was a repeat of an art journal page I did a couple of years ago, where I removed a character from a photograph and then added text underneath. I think back then I used words from the song Missing from Everything But the Girl in the background, but this one I've just used some, it's a piece of art paper that just had written text on it, but I removed him from the equation. I still have him. I haven't used him yet. He's still waiting to be used. And I just layered it with other backgrounds to create a kind of old-fashioned feel. And I've added in some washi tapes as well, just for a bit of variety and balance and a little bit of texture in the background. And then the quote, even emptiness has a story to tell. Of course, you know, everybody has a story to tell about somebody who are no longer with us. And particularly around Christmas time, we all feel it, don't we? So it was just one of those things where I felt the need to do something like that. Right, so page 46, so that was emptiness. Right, again, so 47 was actually self. So for this one, I decided I was going to print different photos of me onto translucent paper, and I was going to hinge them to create different layers, because we do present different versions of ourselves to different people. I'm different to mum and dad than I am to my sister. I'm different to my sister than how I am to Ian. We're all different depending on who we're talking to. And we're all different when we're either working or in a formal situation. We've all got different faces. So I decided I was going to do different versions of me, and then finally include a mirror so that I can appear in whenever and reflect whatever I am now. So that was that. And again, it was just layered onto some like wooden plank paper. And then the quote is, self-expression is the art of being unapologetically you. So that was week 47. Week 48 was abundance. So yeah, so I painted the background and then I painted these circles using, that shouldn't be on there, get off, using a punched stencil that I just created, punched out of card, and then went through and then just used the circles to create that kind of shading with a sponge over the top. And then I've kind of just drawn kind of like connecting circles and stuff in the background, and then splattered, obviously, because, you know, we do splatters. And then again used a quote, this time from a Sheryl Crow song. I think it's There Goes the Neighbourhood. It's not having what you want, it's wanting what you've got. So that was taken from a Sheryl Crow song. So songs and poems are really, really good sources for quotes. If you're, you know, if you hear a song quote or a song lyric and you think, oh, that's interesting, write it down and keep it somewhere. I know somebody who had a book, a little notebook, and every time they had a nice song lyric, they'd write it down and they'd refer back to it later for inspiration, which is always a good idea. So that was abundance. And the next one, week 49, is joy. Joy. So all I did for this one was I actually just recreated the prompt image. So the quote, or the prompt was, embrace the vibrant energy of happiness that bubbles within. Like sunlight breaking through clouds, joy illuminates your path and with warmth and clarity, etc. So I just thought, do you know what? I really liked the image. I thought it was really kind of nice and bright, so I thought I'd recreate it. But used paints, watercolour paints. I think I used the Vivid inks and just drew it in by pencil. And then I went in and I painted and added in bits and bobs just to add depth and shading. So true joy is found in the present moment. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that page. And the brown texture in the background is from a Tim Holtz stencil, which just also happens to be still here because I've not tied it up yet. Haha. Burlap, that was what it was. And that was week 49. So week 50 was Fortune. So again, I've used a heart. Now, just subtly in that gold heart, you can see numbers. So I used the number cascade mask for that one, which is here. And then just added some distress ink over the top, just to get that subtle kind of number in the background. So it's almost like you've got numbers in your heart, and then each of those gold discs, if you like, I've turned into like a pseudo coin. So a kind heart is a priceless fortune. So that's kind of what it is. And then we've got that stamped dictionary page in the background. It isn't a dictionary page, it is a stamp. I think it's a Christmas one, actually. Christmas dictionary page. Probably, knowing me. So that was Fortune. Week 51, festive. Decorate your soul with festive joy. This is a cardboard gingerbread man that I cut on the laser cutter. I created the background using the Swiss cheese stencil with paints, and then just overlaid, was it paints? Metallic paints. Yeah, I used different metallic paints to kind of create that that kind of Christmas bauble-y kind of effect in the background. The Swiss cheese stencil just went through with different colours and then overlaid with some gold as well, just to create that kind of festive sparkle that we've got. And then used Posca pens. Or did I use a paper template? No, I used a paper template, didn't I? I laid it over the top and then went through with a Posca pen using the template, because again, that's still here. But instead of using all 3 buttons, I only did 2, just so I could draw in a dicky bow, because why not? So yeah, decorate your soul with festive joy. So that was that one. And then finally, last Saturday's week 51, endings. I just did some hand-drawn typography and then coloured it in bright colours with the Posca pens, and then created some firework effects in the background. And as somebody pointed out, I didn't use purple in the fireworks at the background. I just used it a couple of times in the letters and didn't use it in the background, probably subconsciously, because purple's not my favourite colour, but I do use it occasionally. So that was the last one. That was just week 52, which was last Saturday. So there you go. There's the full 52 weeks of 2024's mission inspiration. Obviously it has to be held together with an elastic, but there's no labels or anything on the front of the journal, so I thought I would just do that just to finish off today. So I've printed on my computator, and I have to be careful because there's no metal edge to this. I printed on the computer a little label, or a couple of labels. I'll just whiz those off, turn that around, just to kind of finish this off. Just I never, for some reason, I never bothered adding any kind of title onto the book, so now's the time to do it. And I'm just using the marks on the ruler to get some depth and just to get some evenness. Okay, so we've got those two. And then what I thought I would do is I would just stick those down, just using a little bit of glue. Just spread out a bit. That's one. And I'm just going to stick that just into the corner there. Like so, and then take the other one. Like that. And then just because I'm lazy, I'm going to turn that cardboard round and stick it like that. Now that's only because that way I only have to cut two sides. Like so. And then I can just quickly managed to dirty it already. But hey ho. So that's one, and then just do the other. And then what I'm going to do, put that one on the spine. Bit of glue on there, come on. That's better. The glue's nearly running out. So I'm now going to stick that on the front. Now I'm not going to put it in the middle because I don't want to cover hair up, and then when the elastic's on, I don't want it to cover that either. And then on the spine, I've done it just the right kind of size. Come on, glue. You can do it. You can last. I'm getting the dregs out of the tube now. That's it. Look at that, it's lasted right until the end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that across the top. Like so. So that when it's on the shelf, I can see which one it was. I'm not covering up that fantastic car. And then there's the front. So there we go. That's my completed mission inspiration journal for 2024. And I hope you've enjoyed watching me do this flip through. Just as a bit of a review of all those art journal pages that we did throughout the year. So that's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. But don't forget, if you want to join us next year for 2025 over in the Mission Inspiration Facebook group, that's the URL on the screen there, but there will be a clickable link below the video that you can click to come and join us for lots of inspiration and art challenges next year. We're going back to monthly next year, so there's only going to be one a month as opposed to one a week this week, because it was rather a big challenge this year. Some of you managed it, some of you didn't, but that's okay. You just do what you can. Excuse me. So yeah, it'd be lovely if you did join us over in the Mission Inspiration group. At the moment, there is just under 5,000 people in the group, but still room for lots more. So please do join us, do join in and share what you create using the prompts and the challenges that I set each month. We're going to be sticking to the first Saturday for the Mission Inspiration, first Saturday of the month. So yeah, you've got all month then to do your page and to have a think about it before the next one starts the following month. So again, that's all from me. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.